Welcome to part 3 of this 4-part series on emotional and spiritual health. All right, let's talk about how to manage our emotions in a healthy way. With today's increase in stress and a lack of time and margin in our lives, families are just struggling to regulate the emotional climates in their home. I think it's time to declare a ceasefire for our emotional and relational well-being. We need to learn how to manage our internal world in a way that's healthy and balanced. So, to help us remember what we need to do in managing our emotions, I've developed a little rhyme that will hopefully help you understand and manage your emotions. Are you ready? All right. Name it, claim it, tame it, never shame it. How's that? So name it means to know how you feel, and that means you have to pay attention to your inner world. God gives you emotions as an alert to something going on, and therefore you need to pay attention to what's going on. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And test out several labels. Am I angry or sad or lonely? For example, let's say you've been feeling some distance from a friend lately who seems to be ignoring you, and you're starting to feel all sorts of emotions. Before you react with your usual pattern of avoidance or confrontation, take some time to work through your emotions. Start by trying to figure out how you feel. And if you don't know, pray and ask God to help you. Then try to articulate it. I'm feeling hurt and rejected, like I'm not important, because it feels like Susie doesn't have time for me anymore. Now, claim it means to own your emotions and to give yourself permission to feel what you feel without judgment and to try to understand why you feel what you do. So, for example, of course I'm feeling hurt because she hasn't called me in several months. But the most important aspect of claim it is that I take responsibility for my emotions and I stop blaming others for how I feel. They may very well be the trigger, but they're not responsible for how I feel. And this is a very important part of self-awareness. We need to learn that these are my feelings and no one else's. They belong to me. While there are many reasons why we feel the way we do, and people and events could trigger us, it's important for us to learn to own our own emotions. It's not helpful for us to blame others for how we feel. Yes, they may have played a part in it, but it's a very powerless way to handle our emotions if we blame others. It essentially means that we can't help ourselves and we have no control over how we feel, our emotions, and what we're going to do about it. So learn to say I statement. So rather than saying, you made me mad, you can learn to say, I'm angry that you left the dirty dishes in the sink again. We also need to learn that while we're responsible to respond appropriately to others, we aren't responsible for their emotions and well-being. Otherwise, we'll tend to get into relationships where we're just the enablers who feel it's our job to cajole others out of their bad moods. It's not our job to figure out what's going on with Susie and trying to fix it so she won't be mad at us anymore. Another aspect of claim it is we need to remember our emotions don't give us latitude to do whatever we want. We can feel very angry, which is absolutely okay, but it's not okay if we hurt someone or break something in our anger. So confronting Susie and accusing her of all sorts of things before we understand her distance is not helpful. Nor can we justify that just because we're hurt. We need to learn to separate our emotions from our choices. Otherwise, we'll tend to justify our bad behavior based on how we feel. We'll also tend to have difficulty seeing how we're hurting each other when we're upset. Can you begin to see the freedom in this? We no longer have to let life and others control our responses or our emotional health. Isn't that great news?